Hello and welcome to the La Project. With me, your host Han Royani, and my co-host
BJ.
Today we're joined by a special guest. Welcome to the show, TMJ. Sheikh Irfan Mansoor.
Alright. I mean, that's fair. I feel like I point that out. So like fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this episode, it's not going to be like a normal episode. We usually talk about like political news and social issues,
Yep.
which is fun. But sometimes I feel like the news is a bit too depressing sometimes.
So we're gonna have some fun today, eh?
Yeah, let's have some fun today.
Yeah,
sure.
let's go.
Let's go.
So all over the world, we've all heard at least some conspiracy theories.
Yep.
Maybe some of you believe a few of those. And conspiracy theories can come in all sorts of forms. From they say that Elvis could have been, in a cryo chamber.
Yeah, he's
all
still
these
alive
years.
or something.
He's still alive or
So is
something
Tupac.
like that.
So is
So is
Tupac.
Tupac.
So
Apparently,
is Tupac.
Tupac is
Apparently
in
Tupac is
Malaysia.
still-
Apparently,
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard
There's
that?
quite a few, dude.
There's
Yeah,
quite a few.
there's a lot, man.
There's a lot.
there's a lot.
quite a few.
Okay, so we start with one
Especially
of
if you go to Sagi University residences, you find quite a few Tupacs there.
That's quite good. That's actually a fair point. That's actually a really good point.
Okay. We'll start with like probably one of the first conspiracy theory in the world.
Yep.
Okay, which is the moon landing.
That's the school. Okay.
Right. One of the first
old
major.
lah. That's quite old lah.
Yeah. Because it was in they did it in 1969.
Yes.
The Americans.
The Americans did it in
yes.
1969.
These are called the Apollo missions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, all these
and
sorts
then
of.
one guy that we don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
History.
Who is he?
That's actually, I feel really bad
Right,
for
there
that
is
guy
one
right
more
now.
guy.
Man. There is one
But
more guy.
he didn't go on the moon, did he?
No,
He has to stay inside
he
the thing.
stayed
right?
inside. He was supposedly the loneliest man in the world
Oh
for
my
a few hours. You know why? It's genuinely true. Because he went around the moon to keep, because they couldn't, I don't know whether they couldn't land or something, but they
Okay.
had to essentially do an orbit around the moon to come
Right.
back.
Right.
For like, I think 10 minutes, he had no connection to Houston.
Yeah.
So for a short time, he was the loneliest man in the world because he was literally on the other side of the moon, on the
Yeah.
dark side of the moon,
Yeah,
with no
yeah.
connection to Houston. It's so like that's
damn.
so like haunting.
Yeah,
As a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine like you're stranded there, like something wrong happens there.
Can
You're just
you
there.
die in that 10 minutes,
You
is it?
die,
Yeah,
yeah.
wait. Damn, man.
So
Whoever that guy is.
So the moon
I'm blanking on his
landing.
name, dude. I can't
can't
remember.
I don't remember his name. But but they did the moon landing in 1969,
Yes.
and then shortly after the Soviets did it too, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think the Soviets ever landed on the moon.
No? Okay.
I don't think they ever landed. No.
Damn.
Okay. But by the 1970s, a lot of bizarre conspiracy theories start to emerge.
Yeah.
Basically, they said like the moon landing was fake. Everything was created. Basically, like it's a whole
Hollywood-
studio.
Hollywood studio, yes.
They made it in the
Yes.
apparently they can see strings
Yeah.
on the astronauts
Yeah.
and stuff. But okay, this is what I think lah. It's hard for you to, because when you're at the moon, you don't know like what is the gravitational situation there. There's nothing.
estimates, but you don't actually know.
Yeah, you don't really know. So
Until you
even
get there,
even for us, like we don't really know if we saw the videos, but we don't really know. Okay, it could have been generated or it could have been faked.
Yeah, but
Okay.
Yeah. So but to me, I feel like I don't think it's fake lah. It's
okay?
Yeah.
You don't think it's fake?
I don't think it's fake.
BJ? I feel like you think it's fake. By that pause alone.
I don't think it's fake yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yet. Like, because in recent years, there've been mounting evidence of it being fake.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get into it, but not enough yet to convince me that
Convince you that it's fake.
it's completely fake. Yeah. So the ones that I know about that are quite prominent, especially is the photo of the moonwalk.
Was it the shadows?
yeah.
Was it the
So
shadows?
no, there was
someone said that.
apparently the photo of the moonwalk that was published in the newspapers at the time. They found negatives. Okay, of it being recreated on land when they were training. So they were hooked up to like anti-gravity harnesses and all that.
Yeah.
So you could see the lines and all that.
Yeah.
But apparently, if you inverted the image, it looked exactly mirror to the training, the training photo. Yeah. So
Okay.
That's
okay,
interesting.
that seems weird, right?
Yeah, that does
seems
seem
dodgy,
odd.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. The still man to it is that when you get on the moon, similar to what Han said earlier, right? That you don't know what
You tak tahu.
the reality is
Yeah.
actually like.
Yeah.
So what works, what doesn't work, your equipments and all that. So apparently there is like a rumor that said that the camera equipment couldn't work properly on the moon. So that's why you see photos that are photos of training that were like edited to make it seem like they were on the moon, like pitch blackness and all that. They black out the background and things like that. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't go to the moon.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's true.
so that's why I say like it's circumstantial for sure.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's a bit dodgy.
It's a bit odd.
It's a bit dodgy, but it's not enough to say they didn't go to the moon. Like what happened to the launches? You know, what happened to the rockets?
man.
And
I think okay, so here's what I think. I think if they fake the moon landing, the amount of people so there is actually a movie, I think it's got Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson about the moon
ScarJo?
landing. ScarJo.
yeah.
About like possibly faking the moon landing because there was kind you got to think about context historically as well. This was like peak Cold War, Soviet Union, East versus West. Like you had this whole like soft battle kind of right. So in many ways, getting to the moon was about like who is better in many ways. Right?
Yes.
So so apparently there might have been some practice being like, hey, if we don't get to the moon, maybe we should try faking it and see if that doesn't happen, we have insurance, right? That's one thing. I feel like that's also not true because the amount of people that you would need to fake a moon landing and the amount of equipment and the amount of technology to fake a moon landing and then keep those people quiet for all time is crazy. There's so much money. It seems easier to just go to the moon. You know what I mean?
Like cheaper, at least.
It might actually be cheaper because
at
I'm
least,
thinking like, okay, yes, it's you're going to space and all of this, but then you're worried about those same people keeping that secret for the rest of their lives. When you don't have
and
any
they might
connection
still be
to it.
alive today.
They might. I think 1969, 100%, bro. 100% still alive. So keeping all of that secret, it seems a little too much lah, in my opinion.
Right.
But here's the thing. Is the moon landing, so back to your thing of like, is the moon landing the first one? The first conspiracy theory?
Okay, what did you think? Was there a previous...
Because I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories with World War I with the Nazis.
Oh, really?
Because
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Let's dive.
So the Nazis, their whole thing was that like, hey, we just got to win. It doesn't matter how we do it, we just got to win. So there was a lot of like occult stuff going on with the Nazis as well because they wanted to try if we can win the war through occult means, let's try it. So there was a lot of stuff. There's this, I don't remember, but it was supposedly like this super weapon that they could use during the war if things go badly to make them win. And you can read it up. I don't remember the exact sources, like guys. Sorry, comedian.
Are you talking about the Ark of the Covenant?
It might have been the Ark of the Covenant, but I don't think so. It was a bell. I think it was like a Lufthansa bell or something like that.
Right.
Basically, they wanted to win at any cost. So they were like, yo, let's use some occult if it's necessary. And I feel like there might have been, I don't think it worked, but I do think there's stuff there that we don't necessarily know about that maybe have led to certain things in society. Because I know for a fact that after Nuremberg, the US took in a lot of Nazi scientists. That's a fact. They were just like, Operation Paperclip, because they were like, look, you guys are some of the best of the best. So we're gonna use you if it means winning against the Soviets. Because that's what it is.
The guy who developed, basically enabled them to go to the moon, if they actually did, was Dr. Werner von Braun. Have you heard of him?
Oh, okay, no.
When he was still with the Nazis, this was before the Second World War broke out. He had rocket factories. Okay,
Damn.
and every day he would hang the 5 slowest working Jews.
What the?
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, that's that
Because
guy.
they weren't
And he was the head of NASA.
To him, they weren't human. Like
Yeah.
you got to remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my god.
yeah.
We're dealing with actual like if we're talking about like what is it variables in a science experiment, if you could actually take out all the ethics, take out all of that stuff, that was the Nazis. And that was, I mean, to it, and by extension that was the Soviets.
Yep.
Because they were like, look, we don't care what we have to do to people, it's about the cause.
Yep.
So it's like that kind of stuff. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it could hide a lot of things that maybe there are some conspiracy theories that we still don't know about. Because there's definitely some British stuff that we don't know about.
Oh yeah.
There was, I remember there was this, they wanted to train pigeons.
Yep.
They wanted to train pigeons as like homing grenades. So they would
Yep.
store grenades in the pigeons.
The pigeons would drop it.
And they would drop it
Yeah.
and they would land and get opened up. The only reason that didn't happen was because the Germans found the box of pigeons.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
There was the bouncing bomb where if they wanted to destroy like water supplies, they wanted to create a bomb that could bounce on water so it would hit, so that you bounce it from a distance and it will bounce closer to the dam and then
Damn.
burst at the dam.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So there's a lot of stuff that we still don't, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
But did it figure out the homing thing, the pigeon thing?
The homing
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a company called DJI. They sell drones.
Damn, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Because
drone.
no, that's real. Because in Ukraine, that's what they do. Like they
Drones.
have super developed the art of drone warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah. They use
Yeah,
like
actually.
plastic explosives. They use the drones like, because you know those DJI drones, they're like what, $3,000.
Yeah, you don't have to
It
pay
doesn't
much.
cost a lot, dude.
And then you just have to do an improvised IED.
Yeah, IED. Yeah,
IED and you're
Yeah.
good.
So
And we're talking guerrilla warfare
That's
here.
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
There's stuff in Vietnam, like
and those things are fast,
bro. Yeah, those
Those
things are very
drones are
fast.
fucking fast, dude.
Drones are fast.
Yeah.
Vietnam is another thing. People think that like with the Vietnam War, that's where Vietnam started in the war. No, bro, they've been fighting the French and the Chinese for
Yep.
hundreds of years.
Forever.
They have they have warfare that like we don't even really consider that great because we don't see it. We don't get taught it.
Yep.
Okay, speaking of the Vietnam War, I wanted to ask, like, what was the catalyst for that war? Because it went on for so long, right?
I think it was the Russians moving in.
Yeah, I think it was
the
the
Soviets
Russians
moving in.
because
That
they
was
they
that
was
was the
split.
main thing.
I don't remember the exact thing, but I think it was like when Indochina was split, they were split. So North Korea and South Korea kind of was split along 47th, 87th,
Okay.
something.
Yep, yep.
So the Soviets get this, and then the Western, the Americans get this. Same thing with Vietnam. North Vietnam was had by the Soviets. South Vietnam was had by the Americans. And then I guess eventually they just weren't happy about it,
Yeah.
and they just
No,
started going about it.
Now that we're talking about it, there was this incident called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. So you can Google that. It's basically, it was under something called Operation Northwoods, if I'm not mistaken, by the American military. So it was a false flag operation.
Okay.
Yeah, that I can't remember the details of the operation too much, but it was basically the catalyst for Congress green lighting American troops on the ground in Vietnam. Yeah. So the Vietnam, like what Irfan was saying, the Vietnam War was like almost like a two-sided battle for the Americans because number one, they came in to foreign land, so they weren't being attacked. They came into foreign land, and then they had to go up against the NVA, the North Vietnamese Army, and also the Viet Cong in the south. So yeah, they massacred themselves though.
Why did the US come in there in the first place?
Oh, I think Cold War stuff.
Yeah, it was Cold War
I think
stuff.
basically, like we don't. I feel like we still don't talk enough about how much the Cold War affected us, lah.
Yeah.
Especially in Southeast Asia, man.
Yeah.
The like we have enough history as Malaysians about like the communists and pro-Western things
Damn
that we
straight.
still don't discuss. We still don't talk about. Like it's I don't remember if this is true, but I think it might be. There's a P. Ramlee movie where he's fighting the communists for
What?
Yes.
What's
there
it called?
I don't remember.
Oh,
This
wow.
is the thing. I don't remember, but I remember watching it. That he's fighting the communists because he was on the British side and then pro-independence, which doesn't make sense. Because the communists did help us, and as much as we don't like talking about it, but it is true. They did help us fight for independence. They did. They just straight up
They
did.
were part of the resistance.
They were part of the resistance, and we don't.
Yeah.
And
We
we're
don't talk about that.
We don't talk about
Yeah.
that because it's a lot easier than having to explain that. Like, oh, but I thought the communist. No, they were Malay communists. There is this movie called The Last Communist.
Rashid Maidin.
Rashid Maidin or Amir Muhammad.
Okay, alright.
It was banned and it was called The Last Communist or Radio Kampung, something like that. If you look up Amir Muhammad, you can look it up. He has two movies that are banned in Malaysia. One of the movies that are banned in Malaysia is because there is a group of Malay communists in southern Thailand who call themselves Malays and who call themselves Malaysians, but they were exiled because they were communists, and they were like, no, we're pro-independence, but we also happen to be communists. They're not anti-Muslims; they are all Muslims, and they say like these two ideologies can sit together, but they can't be here because it goes against the prevailing ideology of at the time UMNO of like, oh no, the communists are against us, which isn't true, but. Yeah, you can find that. It's Wikipediable. There's another one called The Last Durian or The Big Durian about a guy who went amok in Petaling Street and
Just throwing durians at people.
no,
Oh, okay.
just like with a knife,
Okay.
with a knife and parang lah, and just going around killing people.
Back to our conspiracy theory. One of the biggest one lah. It's a sensitive issue. 9/11, as I'm sure most of you know. The World Trade Center was attacked. I mean,
What? What? I've never.
You don't say.
You don't. This has never come up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when was this?
In 2001. Yeah?
Yo.
September 11.
September 11.
Yeah,
Oh,
September
that's why
11.
they always say September 11.
Yeah,
Never forget.
Never
Yeah.
forget.
Never
I
forget.
don't remember.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So basically, when 9/11 happened, all the Americans thought, okay, these are a bunch of terrorists, because we were at war with Saddam Hussein at that point. Was it?
No.
No,
You were
Oh, not yet.
you
right.
were
Not yet. Okay.
Iraq was 2003.
Okay. But when 9/11 happened, everyone thought it was terrorists or this. Was it Saudis? Or, not Saudis.
Yeah, because they were supposedly in the aftermath, they found out that the suicide bombers were actually Saudi nationals.
Yes.
Saudi
So that's what they thought. And then after 9/11 happened, the US decided to go into Iraq and some other
No,
other
it was
Middle Eastern
Afghanistan
country.
first.
Afghanistan first, and then Iraq, because basically he wanted to get rid of weapons of mass destruction that Saddam Hussein supposedly had.
Yes.
But
But that was not really like a
that was
byproduct of
the
9/11.
No, but that's
Saddam
what-
Hussein was an issue, was mostly an issue on his own. It was
Yeah.
Afghanistan first, yeah.
no, but
Afghanistan was the Taliban.
It was the Taliban, yeah.
Yeah. But back then, before the conspiracy theories, that's what people thought lah. And then
Right.
years after that happened, more witnesses came out to say, and more evidence was shown. Do you know about the dancing Israelis?
Like at weddings?
No, I mean like, okay, so there's this video. Right after 9/11 happened, the second plane hit the tower. A woman was recording from her condo. She was recording the whole thing, and then she went down a bit to the frame changed from the building to a condo in front of her condo.
Okay.
And it was the rooftop.
Okay.
And she could see like 5 or maybe 6 Israelis. They were looking at the whole destruction, the World Trade Center going down, and they were dancing and singing.
Like you could tell they were Israelis. They
Yeah,
had
how-
the,
that's
That's
what I'm thinking.
They had the
hats and
they had the hats.
But that could
Yeah.
just be Jewish dudes.
the Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, it could be Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, but why would they be dancing? Like there's something terrible just happened right here.
Is it okay when we look at the frame? Is the buildings in the background or is it memang just separate?
It's separate. So basically, the World Trade Center is you could maybe like 200 meters away,
Yeah.
and the condo is just right in front of the person who was recording. So she was just like, she got the image
moved to
of
the
the
left lah.
and then she just macam like, I guess she saw why are these people dancing?
Yeah.
So she just went down and then she just started recording it. So after that, people were a bunch of theories just came out, like, and then people were suggesting that these people were from Mossad and stuff like that, and they sort of like
Because I saw some Hasidic guys dancing on the street.
I feel like that's just. I can't believe I'm defending Israelis right now. But like, I feel like that's just a bunch of dudes who have the darkest sense of humor.
Yeah, maybe.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Like, if you see, I don't know lah. But
No,
like, this is
but-
my logic, which is if I see a horrible thing and I'm with a group of friends who I know will appreciate
And you'll be so
my
so
sense of
desensitized
humor.
to it.
Yeah,
You
you'll
be
appreciate.
so desensitized to the plane hitting the building and be like, holy that's crazy. But you're not thinking about, oh my God, all those people are dying.
Yes.
You know, you're not thinking that people are dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
I don't know.
desensitizing.
Maybe I'm a psycho, but I mean,
No, I'm with you on that, boy.
But like, you know what I mean?
I'm
Like,
with you on
I'm
that,
just
boy,
like, if I see something so horrible, I don't know how to react.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, I think recently as well, of like people being like, oh no, you should react like this. Like, nah, bro, you don't.
You react how
Feelings
how
are
you react.
feelings,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
People have feelings. It's
Yeah.
fine. If they saw that and they were like, wanna dance? I don't know what else to do here, guys. I've never seen this. I've never seen. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna
So,
change
but
the
what's funny,
perspectives. I'm gonna change the perspective a bit. Say, okay lah. I hope nothing like this ever happens. But say the Petronas Towers was attacked.
Sure.
Like
Okay.
two planes
hit.
crashed into.
Okay.
And you see like a bunch of foreigners just started dancing at the side of the.
They
you
will
know?
probably be Bangladeshi
Or Nepalese.
or Nepalese.
Or Burmese.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be dancing looking at that. Macam like, oh.
What if they were dancing before?
What if
And-
they were dancing before and then it
Like
just
they
happened?
were in the
You want
middle
me
of
to-
dancing while that happened.
You want me to
Like,
stop, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, 9/11, so bad.
Yeah. Dude,
Bro,
the Jews
if
though, they've been persecuted for thousands
That's
of years.
true.
You
And
think
I
they're gonna
think-
care about Twin Towers? We ran away from the f***ing pyramid.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
I feel like that's
Who's
the
gonna
thing that we
care?
don't think about is
Yeah.
that, oh man, I don't want to get into this, bro. Is that like, on one hand is dark humor where it's just like, it, let's
Yeah.
go. But like, I feel like in Malaysia, it's not super common for dark humor to exist.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
true.
You're more likely if something hit the Twin Towers, it's so much more likely for people to go on their knees and start crying.
Yeah. Yeah.
While like some Jiwang rock plays in the background.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be dancing
Yeah, unless you were funny.
unless you have a sixth sense of humor.
Unless you have a sick, I don't know, man.
Okay,
because
but-
we've never had anything that bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we have, but we don't talk about it. Not like terrorist hits, but
Okay.
but tragedy. May 13 is pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we don't talk about that.
Yeah.
We don't even-
that's
That
really
get
bad.
that gets swept under the rug. lah.
Yeah,
You guys swear under the rug.
that
Where
was-
are the bodies, guys? Where are the bodies? It is just same thing on 9/11. Or does what is it? What do steel bars melt at? or
Oh,
something?
and they say jet fuel can't melt.
Yeah, jet fuel can't melt steel bars.
Steel
Yeah.
bars, yeah.
We should do the same
That's the
thing.
issue with Tower 7.
Yeah.
So
There was 7?
Yeah.
There were multiple
there-
towers, actually.
It was a whole complex.
Yeah.
The World Trade Center is actually a whole complex. So the two towers that were hit were twin towers, yes, but there were also smaller towers like around within the complex. So with other buildings. So Tower 7 was one of the buildings that were hit. One of the towers that were hit. So it was hit by the jet midway up. Okay, about almost halfway up. But when it collapsed straight down, almost like a controlled demolition.
So
Yeah, yeah.
people were saying that they could have planted bombs on the ground, explosives.
Similar to how controlled demolitions are done in New York itself.
Yep,
Is
yep.
that they collapse like buildings upon themselves.
Yeah.
So to mitigate the damage.
Sure,
So
okay.
So jet fuels can't melt steel
Still,
beams.
bro,
lah.
yeah.
apparently not. Apparently not. Yeah. And
But they can get pretty. I remember I saw it. Oh, fuck.
because I think it's the issue with it is like those buildings were made with like rebar,
Yeah.
and super I can't remember what it's called, but it's super strong concrete and shit
Okay.
like that. So it's not.
But it can get pretty hot enough to like bend, no?
I'm not too sure, dude. But multiple engineers have said that it's quite unlikely that it was the jet fuel that caused it.
Okay.
So they've gone that route,
But
to
so-
just say that it's
But that's the saying
unlikely,
lah.
unlikely that jet fuel
Can
would have
melt
caused
steel.
it. So that's basically their way of saying that this is not jet fuel. Something else happened here, but they don't want to offer a solution as to what exactly happened.
Maybe they don't want the people to know what actually
They
happened.
don't want to
Maybe.
know.
Maybe.
Just like, where are the
Maybe.
bodies, guys?
Maybe.
May 30, where are the bodies? We need to talk about this more. Where they buried, we need to talk to the families of the people who lost. We don't talk about it, man.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah.
Up.
You don't
Look
talk about
up.
it, you don't heal though.
You don't heal.
You don't heal. Yeah, you don't heal. It's as simple as that.
And Malays are acting like, sorry guys, I have to get into this, but like I was just talking about this the other day. Malays are acting like, oh, we're the most innocent motherfuckers on the
Oh,
planet.
no.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Look it up.
Without getting into details, my view on all these kind of things, conflict, is that when conflict happens, especially something that resembles a civil war, it gets ugly. It gets really ugly.
It gets
always
really
does.
ugly.
His-
Especially we don't talk about it.
Historically, it always does. It always gets ugly.
Yeah, man.
There's always a lot of death. So, but the one way that you can heal, the best way that you can heal is by talking about it and getting it out in the open.
You know what they did in Rwanda? So one of the worst things that happened in Rwanda was a Rwandan genocide.
Yep.
And it was against the Tutsis versus the Hutus. I don't know if I'm getting that correct.
Okay.
But we're talking about people against people. Like people used to take out like
Race
machetes
against
and-
race.
against race. That were only really split by the British, but like that's a whole nother thing.
Okay.
This happened. And a lot, in fact, there are Geneva conventions that came out after this happened because I think this was the biggest use of genocidal rape. This was the biggest use of like people on people. Radio stations would tell people to go out and kill Hutsi cockroaches. Like that kind of
Wow.
And to this day, they have one of the greatest, I think one of the greatest, genocidal healing is because they put victims and perpetrators next to each other in buildings, in like houses. So they have to deal with each other.
Yep.
They have no choice. And they have, I think, an International Day of Peace or International Day of Genocidal Recognition, something like that, where they are talking about it constantly. It is constantly on the national brain as like, we've done this. As a people, we have allowed this to happen and we need to talk about this to bring us together because it cannot happen again. And it's led to people, like I think even Vice took a documentary where it's like the daughter of this woman was taken and raped by the assailant of this guy. And they are talking next to each other about it. And the assailant is keeping quiet and the victim is allowed to talk because they understand their positions in this. And it's that kind of stuff that if you don't talk about it, it will get messier and dirtier. The same thing happened. Indonesia is going through it right now, bro. No one talks about that. No one talks about that. For a little bit, Indonesia was killing communists and Chinese people like it was nothing. There's a documentary called The Act of Killing, and it's still one of the most beautiful documentaries I've ever seen, called The Act of Killing. And what they did was they took Death Squad members and they asked them to reenact the killings via Hollywood or their favorite movie genre punya things. Yeah.
How does that work? Like,
so kind of it's happened like years ago. So these men are quite old.
Okay.
But they asked them to reenact whatever killings they remember they did.
Okay.
So there was stuff.
So they wanted to shoot it into a movie scene or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
so they was but they were playing themselves lah.
Oh, okay.
But they were also playing the victims and stuff.
Right.
Some people walked out. There was one guy who even he was saying like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to heaven after this. Because he realized what he's done. Like, I don't think I'm going to heaven. He vomited. Like, this kind of stuff where it's like, you have to make people, and I understand it because as Malaysians, we have this thing about shame and guilt that is hard for a lot of us. But I also think that there has to be some accountability and responsibility about what we've done.
You're right.
You know? And this is like, what, 1969? That's not a long time ago.
Yep.
There are people who are still like dealing with that.
Yeah.
Like, and oh man, it just sucks, bro. It just sucks. Sorry, I went off topic, but like, I've been thinking about that one a lot.
No, but it was a serious issue lah back then because
bro, last election they started showing cases dekat TikTok semua saying like, bro, did you not see this?
I have not.
Dude, the last election there was on TikTok they were showing Malays lah, obviously. They were showing like TikToks of cases PN saying like, do you want another May 13th kind of teenagers?
Wow. What?
Yes, bro. Because we don't talk about it. We don't know this kind of stuff.
Yep. No, I
And you
agree.
see,
I agree with that sentiment. Like, that happens a lot, especially in the young, in the youth. Because when I remember when I was like, I think I was 16 when it was the 2008 elections.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was when the opposition. But I remember in 2004 it was like a clean sweep by BN. I think the opposition only won like literally 3 parliamentary seats.
Okay.
So the rest were all BN. And then in 2008, the opposition started winning more seats. So it was no longer a 2/3 majority in the Dewan Rakyat. And but prior to that, when that was happening, as the results were coming in the night of the election, as a 16-year-old, I was getting texts like, yo, it's happening, the change is happening. If the people up top are not careful, it's going to be another May 13.
Yeah.
And I feel like people who say that kind of thing, it's simply because, like what Irfan said, they don't know the actual. Number one, they don't know the actual implication of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Or what May 13 actually,
context.
what actually happened on May 13, what actually led to May 13. Nobody knows. And yeah, okay, fine. Like, you could say that it's irresponsible to talk about things you don't know about, but at the same time, something that affected our generation, well, not even our generation, our grandfather's generation,
And we're
generation.
living with the backside of trauma.
So there's definitely an underlying current. Like, tension is always there. There's always an underlying current, but that's just part of living in a multicultural community. And the best way forward is to talk about it and to be like, like, I firmly believe when it comes to a conflict like that, all sides are to blame in some way or another. Whether it be the minority or the majority.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, we took a slight detour just now, but I'm gonna get back to 9/11. Okay.
9/11. So this whole thing got US.
Yes, got US. Got New York. Yeah.
Not bad, the Americans. Still got your
Okay. So, I have another conspiracy theory about 9/11. So basically, I'm not sure if it was a few weeks or a few days before it happened, the Pentagon found out that the US lost $2 trillion.
Not the US, the American military. The Pentagon lost.
Oh, okay, sorry. The Pentagon lost $2 trillion. Like, no one...
Unaccounted for.
No one
Officially
knew what happened to it. No one knew what happened. $2 trillion.
2.1, something like that.
Okay. And then, after that, I mean, like, it was swept under the rug after 9/11 happened. So, they used... I mean, like, the conspiracy theories goes like, they used 9/11 just to cover up for the loss of money, because one of the plane also hit Pentagon.
Yeah.
That's the thing that he did mention. There were actually 4 planes that were supposedly on a suicide mission.
Yeah.
So 2 of them hit the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
One of them actually hit the Pentagon. One was supposed to hit the White House but was intercepted.
Alah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
But the thing about the Pentagon,
So close. Sorry. We were almost there, guys.
oh no, Bush wasn't there. Bush was at the kindergarten. Yeah.
Tak apalah, symbolism kan. V for Vendetta and all.
But the most I think the most important thing that gets overlooked about 9/11 was that it might have not been about the Trade Center at all. That might have been their biggest symbol.
Yeah.
But more than anything, the plane that crashed into the Pentagon hit the exact place where the records were kept for where that money went. And all that went up in smoke.
Oh, that's good.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've heard a conspiracy theory and I've been like, that's really
that's not the conspiracy part. That actually happened.
No, that
actually fucking happened. Yeah.
So do we have any idea where
No,
that
it was
money
never pursued.
Yeah.
It was never pursued. Not by Congress, not by the Senate, not by anyone.
For the most expensive military in the world, 2 trillion is insane.
It's gone.
But that one thing that also you have to mention here is that kind of money goes missing every year. Yeah. From the American military. So
that's wild. Yeah. That's crazy.
Crazy.
That's genuinely
that's
crazy.
corruption.
Yeah, that's
At
crazy.
its finest.
Okay. another conspiracy theory about 9/11 is that a few weeks or a few months before it happened, someone from the Republican side, I think, he said something along the lines of, we need to get into the Middle East so that we can protect our interests in the region. Okay. But right now we don't have any reason to go into the Middle East until 9/11 happened. And then after 9/11 happened, they were like, okay, that's what we need. That's all we needed to get into Afghanistan, to get into Iraq. And they said they wanted to find weapons of mass destruction. But eventually, over 1 million Iraqi died, and they couldn't find any weapons of mass destruction. They completely destabilized the whole region. And there was also another conspiracy theory that it was CIA and Mossad who was planning the whole 9/11 thing. Yeah, so that was the conspiracy.
You wanna know why? You wanna know why all that happened?
Why?
Okay, this is a bit of history for you.
Sorry,
okay?
real quick.
Okay.
There was a porn. This is genuinely true. There was.
I love your segue. We just went from 11.
Sorry.
There's a porn.
No, they tried to kidnap this Saddam Hussein lookalike to star in a porn called Weapons of Destruction. And we just said weapons of mass destruction so many times that I was like, oh, we need to talk about this one. Okay, cool. That's all I wanted to say. I'm good. Yeah, you were saying the reason why the Middle East is destabilized.
Yeah, you see how that moment, the 9/11, and more importantly, the US going into Iraq, not so much Afghanistan, but Iraq, that one occupation basically destabilize the Middle East until today.
Yeah.
You want to know why? The biggest reason is that Saddam Hussein, he was a big proponent against the Shiites.
Oh yeah, he was Baha'i, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he absolutely hated the Iranians. He was always the one that was launching missiles towards the Iranians and all that. And he kept the Iranians at bay.
Yeah.
You know? He kept the Iranians at bay. Once the US removed him, and then subsequently removed Gaddafi, all bets were off. All bets were off. Iranians had a complete full reign over the Middle East until today. Until today. Like they've been like jump scaring Israel so many times, like saying this, saying that, saying this, but they're not actually doing anything. They don't have the money to do so. They don't have the military to do so. They don't have the infantry to do so. All they have is ideology.
Do they not?
No.
I thought the military is not bad. No.
They don't have infantry.
Damn.
They don't have the number of people.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
They might
Israel
be
is
like
quite-
if I'm talking about missiles and they don't even have an air force. Actually, Iran.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
That's
they were.
pretty bad, though.
That's the thing people forget. When Trump was in power, they were bankrupt.
Iran.
Iran was bankrupt.
Okay.
When Biden got in, he released like $60 billion or something, some huge amount of money to Iran. Yeah.
For?
It was proceeds from oil.
Okay.
That was Iranian money that was stored in American bank accounts that was frozen and seized by the US government. They gave it back to Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why all that is happening with.
Was when they pulled out of Afghanistan? That wasn't Trump, right? That was
No, that was Biden.
That was Biden.
That was Biden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we will get into our last conspiracy theory for today lah. But before I give out any conspiracy theory, do you guys have any I wouldn't say random, but any underrated conspiracy theories that you think people should know about?
Oh, underrated. I think like the whole. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. I feel like a lot of people know that Americans generally like pulling apart dictators so they can insert their own dictators. I don't think that's a conspiracy theory.
that happens
That's just a thing.
Especially in South America.
Yeah, South America, same thing happened in Southeast Asia. Like that's happened multiple times. Also using acid to torture people for like mind control devices. That was a thing.
Okay. My conspiracy
Is that?
Okay, no. My conspiracy theory was that how did we get into the
JFK?
Okay, yeah,
JFK.
so JFK. Okay, so JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yes.
Okay. So back then,
Allegedly.
back then JFK was the youngest ever president-elect.
Betul.
And he was doing a tour, I think, and he was shot
Dallas, Texas,
In Dallas, Texas, and someone like Lee Harvey Oswald got a gun, went out to the car, just shot him straight in the face.
No. It was through a building.
From
Oh, okay,
it was
okay.
a sniper.
Oh, sorry.
Sniper.
Lee Harvey Oswald was in a building called the Texas Book Depository. He was on the
Okay.
third floor. He was overlooking the parade route in which the president was in a drop top Cadillac, I think.
Yeah.
So there was no roof,
Yeah.
nothing, and he fired, according to official accounts, 3 shots at the president in a
Yeah.
moving car.
So the thing about Lee Harvey Oswald was he was immediately arrested, and 2 days later he was shot dead as he was leaving Dallas police
station.
headquarters.
Yep.
He was shot, and the person that shot him was
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby, allegedly a member of the mob or the mafia.
What the
Yeah.
So
So you guys better, dude.
yeah,
You guys
so
better.
okay.
So people thought that maybe the mob was the one that ordered the assassination of JFK. But-
I thought it was the mob was like on JFK's side. 'Cause I thought JFK
No.
Yeah,
definitely
they got
had
him
mob.
elected.
Yeah, he
they
was
got him
like
elected.
JFK mob
And
strings.
apparently he didn't want the prevailing narrative at the time was
Yeah.
that he didn't want to acquiesce to whatever the mob demanded after he gave the presidency. That's why they killed him.
That's why they got killed. Okay.
But that's not true.
Okay.
The real story
Ah.
is that Jack Ruby, the guy who shot Lee Harvey Oswald, was a member of the mafia. He was a hitman for the mafia.
Yeah.
But what is conveniently left out was he was also an operative for the CIA. Yeah. So when he was arrested, Jack Ruby, he was brought to prison after he was convicted and everything, brought to prison. He had to undergo a series of psychological evaluations.
Yeah.
Okay. And the doctor that was sent to conduct the psychological evaluations was this doctor called Dr. Jolly West.
Okay.
If you don't know about Dr. Jolly West, go home, Google him, YouTube him, go down that rabbit hole.
There's some crazy stories.
So Dr. Jolly West, he is also the CIA's head of Operation MK Ultra.
Fuck you lah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was head of MK Ultra. So
MK Ultra is the thing
mind
that I was talking
control
about, where it's like
operation.
mind control with
Yes.
acid and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So he was a big proponent of LSD. And he conducted various operations under Operation MK Ultra, other mini operations. One of which is
A
called,
brothel, is it?
Operation Midnight Climax.
What? What?
Yeah.
What was Operation Midnight Climax?
Midnight Climax was the CIA. They essentially bought over a brothel. They kept the sex workers.
Yes.
So the sex workers were legit, but the customers that came in, the Johns, they were doused with LSD throughout their session, and they were being studied by Dr. Jolly West during the sessions. Yeah, there was one. There was just one, but. Another one which people don't know is Dr. Jolly West was also the psychological evaluator of a certain Charles Manson. Right.
Bro, it goes deep.
Yeah. So Charles Manson, not only that, but Charles Manson, who is also has been alleged to be a CIA operative, has also had also multiple contact with Dr. Jolly West prior to being arrested for I think influencing the murder of people, being a cult leader and all that.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing about Jack Ruby and Jolly West, when Jack Ruby was in prison, he was and also Charles Manson. This happened to both of them. They were both reported to be very mild-mannered, very polite,
I heard this
respectful
too.
people towards the guards, the warden, and all. But what happened was, after the first psych evals, they both started hallucinating, shouting, being aggressive, all with Dr. Jolly West.
You think they were experimenting on them? Lah? He was experimenting on
Could
them.
have been, but it is fishy for sure.
That's some.
Yep.
Yeah. And on that note, unfortunately, we have to end our podcast. Because I think if we continue further, we'll definitely get shadow banned for
Yeah,
sure.
dude. We
Stay
might go
woke,
2
guys.
hours on this. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
But we might talk about it in our next episode.
Yeah, we got
might.
an episode 2 for you guys.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
All right. But that's it for today's podcast. But before we leave, do you guys have any partial note to give to the audience?
Like, share, subscribe, comment, and give us one of your conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
See, we
Stay
can talk
woke,
about it next
Yeah.
time.
stay woke. Talk to your friends and family about the history of this country and like how we can be better for each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
Have that conversation.
have that conversation.
All right. On that note, that's it, guys. All right. Thank you so much for listening to us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Let's go.